Hello and welcome to the live stream live. I am your host Joshua Schubart, and I hope you're having a beautiful Tuesday, New York evening, or wherever you are listening from. If you are watching the replay, thank you so much for watching. And if you are hearing this on the podcast, thanks for listening. As usual, we are live on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. So it's a wild four-way live stream extravaganza. Got an amazing guest for you tonight. Hey there, thanks for being here. He's an executive chef who I actually met at the end of a very long show night. He had just gotten done working in his kitchen, and we sat next to each other at the Moynihan Train Hall in Penn Station, just like having a late night beer. And we just started talking, like you do when you're at a bar. And I feel like actors and chefs, we have the same, almost the same type of lifestyle where we work long hours and we get home very, very late. And we'll meet him in a minute. His name is Chai, and he's really cool dude who I haven't seen in a long time. But let's get started with what I've been watching, what I've been reading, and how I've been feeling. Let's start with how I've been feeling, and I've been feeling fucking crazy. I don't know how the rest of you feel when a new nightmare thing comes out of the news or out of the courts or gets ignored when the courts say something or like puts us into a potential constitutional crisis or slides us closer into fascism or whatever. But it feels kind of bad, and I know that I've been kind of like preaching optimism for the past many weeks. Just unity, sticking together. Let's get out and protest, call our elected officials. We should still keep doing that. It's just wild to me that it's not like wild, but it's wild to me that the Supreme Court is being ignored by a Supreme Court that is largely a number of the current president's own appointees, which is nuts. I will say that it's unprecedented, and I am fucking sick of living through unprecedented shit. It's been happening since I was born. I mean, it's fucking crazy. But that's where we're kind of at right now, and that's where we're living. The possibility of people being deported to El Salvador to a terrorist prison is extremely scary. So just like watch each other's backs, look out for each other, see what's going on. If anything weird's going down, know your rights, and just really just fucking stick to it. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna probably get harder before it gets any better. And the only way that we can do anything at all is if we stick together, find the people that are part of your community, and just really dig in and not take the shit. I don't know how else to say that. Hello from Chile. If you're here from Chile and from Brazil, thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to have an international audience all the time. It's really cool. Yeah. As for what I've been watching, I just watched the first episode of The Last of Us season 2, which premiered last night. It's one of my favorite shows ever, and it's one of my favorite games ever. I've played it the most out of anything that I've ever played before. It's a compelling story. If you haven't seen it, the show is incredible, and season 2 started with a fucking bang. And I love it, and I highly recommend you all watching it. I am finishing up Foundation on Apple Plus. I really like season 2. Pedro Pascal is Chilean. That is very true. And he is a exceptional artist and a wonderful actor, and I love watching all of his work, and I can't wait to see how he plays Reed Richards in the Fantastic Four. I'm sure he'll do an incredible job. And as for what I'm reading, I haven't gotten a new book yet. Like, I know I gotta get a new book and read it, but I haven't gotten a chance to go to the library. I will go to the library tomorrow and I will get a new book, and I'll talk to you about the book that I read in between feeding my baby and raising my other child, and work and all that stuff. But that's pretty much everything for right now. I have had a lot of really great auditions. I just found out that I will be in The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay at the Metropolitan Opera, playing a really cool speaking role, and I'll be doing a lot of fights. And so a lot of hand combat, directed by Bartlett Sher, who you may have heard of before. He has won a ton of Tonys for Fiddler on the Roof. He recently did McNeil with Robert Downey Jr., just like a ton of stuff. He did the most recent iteration of Camelot. He's a cool guy. I've worked with him before. It's one of the perks of working at the Opera House is that a lot of the really big Broadway folks come in to do work there. So you get the opportunity to work with them in a way that you may not have before, and you get to do it a lot, which is really, really fun. That's it for now. I'm gonna jump right into introducing my guest, because he's actually at work right now. So I want to pop him on here and just get it started. But Chai, we're gonna bring you up. Chai, what up, baby?
Hey man, how's it going? Long time no see.
Long time no see. Yeah. So we were talking pre-show, and we haven't seen each other in two years or so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago, and I met you at the Moynihan Bar.
Yeah, the Moynihan Bar.
Moynihan Bar, and then we got on the same train and we talked all the way to Babylon.
We did. Yeah, it was a really interesting conversation, dude, because you never know who you're going to start talking to there. And at the same time, we discovered that we like the same type of music, and we were into a lot of the same stuff. And I remember you told me that you thought I was just some kind of Long Island meatball, but I turned out to be much more than that.
You were like-minded. I think we land in the same side on a lot of the issues
absolutely
at hand. It's always surprising. You never know. You get all kinds of people on Long Island Railroad. So I was pleasantly pleased.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of spoke about this on the train, but I mean, I know where I live. It's very very Trumpy. I don't know if it is by you.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, it's an interest. It's interested to live among those types of folks when you aren't like that at all, and then also understanding that you are so much alike. It's very wild.
Yeah, I mean, usually I say hello to everybody, all my neighbors. If I see somebody, I'll say hello, but and usually I think everyone just kind of stays clear of each other. It's weird. People don't really. It's after the pandemic. People don't you won't see people on the streets. You won't see people having conversations, but I'll see a lot of that in the supermarket. I'll see Trump hats, but there's also a mix of our kind in there too. There's there's a lot of blue collar. There's a lot of middle class in Babylon where I live.
Yeah, same. I mean, that's where I live too. We live right next to each other, which is because I'm in West Islip.
Yes.
Yeah, which is nuts. So we should meet up again in person. We're really close to each other.
Yeah, we should definitely meet up.
But So let's get started. So this wasn't your first career, right?
This was my second career.
Yeah.
I started as a analyst for a company called Siemens Nixdorf, a
Hmm.
German company, and I was a network engineer on Wall Street for all up until 9/11. So I designed networks, I did network security. I worked for a lot of brokerage houses. I worked for Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Bear Stearns, and I did that all the way up to 9/11. And after that, I quit. And then I joined a small restaurant as a kitchen helper in Huntington. And then slowly my interest peaked and I started traveling and studying. I went to Asia, I lived there. I traveled through Vietnam, Cambodia, and, that was 25 years ago.
That's so interesting, man. Like,
Yeah.
um, so you know, being a chef is in my opinion also being an artist, right? Like you're creating the way that things look, the way that things taste, and like an overall experience, which is what artists do. Were you always drawn to food, or was it kind of an accident?
I was always drawn to food. I'm originally from India, so our life revolves around food and the kitchen basically. My mother was a great chef. My sister is a great chef. She owns a bunch of restaurants. I always cooked. It never clicked to me growing up that that could be a career. Like people
Mhm.
always came to my house when I lived in when I was going to college. People came to my house to eat. I would always make try Thai food, and I would try to make Middle Eastern food. Even not knowing how to make it, I would still try based on like what I'd eaten, but it never like clicked that that could be. And even like when I traveled to see family in other cities, they would always say, "Hey, why don't you cook? We have a party tonight. Make us some stuff." And
Oh, cool.
I was always eager to cook and try new recipes, and it just came kind of naturally, but it didn't register in my head that that could be a career. Like I was programmed to be either an engineer or a doctor
Right,
culturally, being
right.
Indian. And even after I started, after 9/11, I was actually going to go back to working in corporate world till about a year and a half later. And I'm like, you know what? I'm enjoying this. It's not a lot of money, but I'm really enjoying it. I feel good. I'm working with my hands. I don't feel stressed out with all the corporate stuff. I don't have to hide my tattoos when I go to
Right.
meetings,
Yeah.
and I just hated the corporate culture. I hated like those people were like worse than any of my friends are in our punk rock subculture. They were
Right.
the worst of the worst. Like everything you could imagine happens there.
It's weird, like especially when you come from like punk or ska or like or like rock or whatever, and you enter corporate America, you feel like a piece of shit, I'm sure, just because that's what you spent your entire youth being like, ah, fuck that, I'm not gonna do that shit. Um, and then a lot of us end up there anyway, and then I didn't, but and you managed to escape, which is great. But I'm curious, was it because of 9/11 that you wanted to change careers, or was it because of like you just didn't want to be in the corporate world anymore? Like,
I just did not want to be around those people anymore. I just didn't feel like it. I was like, I quit. I quit. I'm like, I'm done. My friend had a welding shop in Dumbo. He made
yeah,
furniture. So he gave me a job. And like, he's like, no. So for the first 6 months, I worked for him cutting all the metal pieces to spec so he can come and weld all this beautiful furniture. And
that's
then
cool.
my sister had a restaurant. So she's like, come on, help me in the weekends, bartend a little bit, help me with parties. And slowly that's the way I got in. And then I got into the kitchen and then, but it was mostly like I didn't want to be around those people anymore. I didn't want to be in a cubicle. I didn't want to go to these morning meetings. I didn't want to go party with these people after work. Like I didn't want to be around them and
Yeah,
it didn't feel good. Like I didn't feel like I earned the money that I was paid. Like
I
I
see.
really didn't do a lot of work. I was an engineer, so everything I could do it at a bar on a laptop, so it was pretty, and I was pretty good at it. So like, but it didn't feel good. It didn't feel, taking that money didn't feel good.
But this does. I mean, is why? Like, is it because you like people eat what you make? Like, is that part of it?
It's just not, yeah, it's okay. Food is part of it, right? Food is, in the beginning, it was food to be creative, creative, creative. But now, years later, it's more like, what kind of program am I running? How am I teaching? How am I behaving in the kitchen? How am I empowering my staff to do better? Am I creating leaders? That's what I focus on the last couple of years. After the pandemic, my focus has been more on training and bringing people up to speed and empowering them instead of beating them up and expecting that they have the same background as I did, or the same
That's
experiences as I did.
that's unusual, isn't it? Like, don't like. I mean, not like being so open as an executive chef, and like not being so, I guess, like judgy. Like, is that unusual, or is that how most of you operate?
I mean, I used to be very strict. I used to be, I mean, I'm still like, I want things a certain way. But
Hmm.
what I realized during the pandemic was, because my company, the pandemic, they closed the hotel I was working in Brooklyn, but they had some other properties in the South in Alabama where the pandemic kind of never came, in the Gulf Shores. So they dispatched me there to like help open all the resorts that they had. Because people want to do, get out, get away from Tennessee and all these places and come to
Sure.
Gulf Shores. And like, I was working with all kinds of people who never had the training, who never had like the proper knives. And after a while, I was just like, you know what? All you can do is make them better. You
Sure.
know, Instead of trying to be judgy and expecting them to, adhere to your standards, just see where you can take them, how far you can take them. So that's when I started, like, focusing more on training and spending my energy learning about the person, having a little bit of empathy, which no one did that for me. I'll tell you that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
when I was coming up, it was very rough and competitive, and you know, but it worked. I was like, it worked for me. Like, I became a really good chef. So I
I
still,
mean, that's how I came up too. I came up with like no one holding my hand when I was like when I was acting training and like things of that nature. Like, it was very tough and very hard and extremely regimented, and people don't know that about acting, is that when you come up in like legitimate training programs, especially the like older ones, it was extreme. It was like being in the army. Like, it was wild. And things have drastically changed now, where it's the same thing for like me in a way. Like, when I see like a new kid coming out of school, like it just happened. I was in an audition in person a couple weeks ago, and there was a young lady who had just gotten out of school, and she was really nervous. And in the past, like, I would have just been like, well, she'll get over that shit, blah blah. But like, I was just like, hey, you don't have to be nervous. You're here. You're doing it professionally. Like, you just breathe and be calm, and it'll be okay. Like, you're 23, and I'm 40. Like, just believe me, like, it's cool, and you're here now, and like, everything is going to be fine. Whereas in the past, like, I might have been like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, you can't get calmed down. Like, this is your job. So I totally get that. But it is how I came up too, where like, it was like, you just did what you had to do, and like, you don't complain about it, and you don't
no,
make any excuses. You just fucking do it. So I totally get that. Totally.
yeah. I mean, back then, when I started, so I worked in Long Island in the beginning, and then I became the chef of that restaurant, and then I started traveling, and then I was like, you know what, I need to go work in a French restaurant in the city. I moved to the city, and then I worked for a French restaurant, and the chef paid me $90 a day. It was a shift pay, so it doesn't matter what hour, when you come in, when you leave, it's $90 a day. That's it.
Okay.
And then you come in at 12, you leave at 12, 1 o'clock, and then again and again. And it was brutal. Like, you didn't want the chef to come to your station. She would crush you, if your cuts are wrong, if your parts. I mean, she would never show you how to do it, but she would yell at you if you did it wrong.
Oh, I see.
It was one of those. But like, I just learned a lot just working in that kitchen from all the other chefs who worked there. There were some who were like, there was a British guy called Gavin, and he would show me. I'm like, Gavin, show me how to do this. I have no idea what she just said. She had an accent. It was hard to understand her Malaysian English mixed with her. She went to Princeton, so like it was like Malaysian Chinese and Princeton accent. She would just give directions. She was like a low talker or she was like a high talker. So either she spoke very low or she just screamed at you. But it was a good learning experience, and I became a sous chef there after a year. So that was great. Yeah.
That's great. Well, so what's your cuisine of choice? Is it Indian, or do you prefer, now that you've been through tons of training, do you prefer French or something else?
I prefer French over anything else. So I prefer French technique over anything else.
Okay.
And then the look of the plating. I like the clean plating style of French. So even if I make an Asian dish, say I make a Vietnamese fish dish with a Vietnamese curry, I'll make it really clean and beautiful and plate it like I'm plating a French dish.
Oh, cool.
So I like the aesthetic of how the French and just modern cooking, how it's clean. And Asian food doesn't really, Thai food is amazing, but you're not going to get beautiful plating at a Thai restaurant. You may in some high-end Thai restaurants. So like, that's what I try to capture the flavors and the ingredients, and then also plate it like beautifully, so it's pleasing to the eyes.
And are there any people that you pulled inspiration from with plating that has kind of like become part of your plating language, or like has it always been your own type of flavor?
No. I study nonstop. I buy books and I study and I eat out and I watch YouTube videos, and I do everything I was doing back then. I still do it. One of my favorite chefs right now is Jean-Francois Piège. He's a chef in France. He's amazing. He's modern. His plating is minimalist and it's beautiful. Obviously, Ellen Ducasse, he's a great. But there's many chefs who do it really well. There's a lot of Asian chefs, Japanese chefs, Korean chefs. I like the Japanese aesthetic as well. It's very clean and beautiful and simplistic and elegant. So I'm always looking for new books and new chefs who are doing new things. It's never, the learning journey will never be over for me.
Well, yeah, because it's a craft, right? Like you are practicing a craft, and it's a thing that you will be learning and constantly evolving with and changing with for the rest of your life. I mean, so like kind of what I was like speaking about in the beginning of this thing is that I've always seen our two professions as kindred spirits, just because it's the same, it's a lot of the same principles. It's a performance through food, and you're always trying to tell a story, like especially if it's a progressive menu, or if it's like a tasting menu. And I know I do the same shit. I'm always watching people that I respect and revere, and who's coming up, and what are the new techniques. And I'm always practicing and doing exercises, and also watching YouTube videos and like all that stuff. And I don't really have a question here. I just think it's so cool that it just feels so similar. Like when I eat something that really is incredible and looks incredible and smells incredible and hits everything in the right way, I'm transported. I've had moments where I've literally wept at tables because of how incredible the food was. I was in Monterosso in Italy, and I ate this fucking squid ink risotto that I'll remember for the rest of my life. It like changed my fucking life. And food can do that. And it's incredible, dude. It's fucking incredible.
Yeah, I mean, foods, you could really something warming. Like in the wintertime, you want something warming. In the summertime, you want something fresh and light.
Yeah,
To textures. Like even eating like a nice tomato in the summer, or corn, like that takes you back. That takes you back to when you were a kid, when you were eating corn, like roasted corn or blanched corn with just butter. Like you don't really need a lot
yeah,
of seasoning on it.
yeah. Because food also is lots of memories too, which is it's such a cool thing. And we also need it to not die. So that's great. So that's great too. uh,
Yeah.
but so you were on Chopped. I saw in your bio. What was that like?
It was, I mean, I didn't enjoy it. I went on it. It is just the way the show is portrayed. You don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know what plates you have available, what ingredients you have available. And then in between courses, so like say you were doing the first course and you saw something that caught your eye that wanted to use for a second course, they move stuff around. So they'll
Oh
literally
shit.
move something from here to there, and then all of a sudden you're like, where is this thing?
Yeah.
Uh, it's long. It's from 5 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock in the evening. We're shooting, waiting in that room in between courses. Um, I didn't enjoy it. Like it's
Okay.
not my thing. It's just like,
Okay.
I got to the finals and then I lost against the pastry chef.
Oh.
Um, but I didn't enjoy it too much. So I don't think I would do that again.
You don't have to. I mean, one of my like really good friends is a chef in New Orleans, and he has no interest in doing any of that shit. Like I've seen, like I've been able to like get people into like casting calls and stuff, and he's like, I'm not interested in doing any of that. Like I just want to make food. And I understand that a lot. Like not a lot of people want to be Anthony Bourdain or one of those folks, right?
I mean, who I would love to be Anthony Bourdain. I
Right.
mean,
No.
but
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
it's 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 like I was doing that already. I started traveling in Asia in 2004. I went to Thailand for the first time. I took a motorcycle up north. I went to Laos. I went to Cambodia. Um, so I've done that many times over. I've been from northern Vietnam all the way to southern Vietnam. I've been to Angkor Wat. I've been through Malaysia. I've taken a boat from northern Thailand on the Mekong River all the way to Luang Prabang, which is the old capital of Laos. Uh, my back's tattooed by a Buddhist monk by hand at a Buddhist
Oh yeah.
temple.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool,
So
dude.
yeah, so I was doing all that stuff. I just didn't think in 2004, 2005 I could document it and do something with it. I think Anthony Bourdain somehow, when he wrote that article, I think was for I forget what magazine. I think New York Magazine. He wrote. That's how he got to start. He wrote an article or an essay or short story for New York Magazine, and then that got picked up and turned into his book, Kitchen Confidential.
Right.
He had the wherewithal to capitalize on his writing, and I think he did a great job. So yeah, I would love a life like that where I'm traveling all the time. That's great. That's
Yeah.
that's a
Sure.
that's a promised land.
Yeah. Because then you just get to eat everything and like have an awesome life
Yeah, I
and
mean,
see everything.
I told you like in the email that my family just went to India for 3 weeks and we had the
Yeah.
best time. We had the best time. It was so much fun. We went north, south, went to the beach and ate different foods. I rented a motorcycle, took my wife and the kids on a motorcycle ride. We had a great time. So I love traveling.
It really is the best thing in the world. Like I've been very fortunate that I've been able to go to a lot of places. I have not been to India yet, but I really want to go. Like it seems like an incredible place. Um, uh, I haven't been to Asia at all. Unfortunately, we were supposed to go to Japan, but then the pandemic happened, and then we had a baby, and then we had another baby. So that's so I would like to explore there because I mean we've been to England and France, and I've been to Spain, and we've been to Italy, like in that pocket, but I want to go to more places. Um, so you, so we connected hard on music and the punk rock scene and the alternative scene. Being a, I mean, did you discover that music while you were a kid in India, or when you came here? Like when did that come into your life, and then how did it first like resonate with you?
So I grew up in Jamaica, Queens. I
Oh,
moved here when I was 12.
oh, and when you're 12,
So
yeah.
yeah, when I was 12. So I went, so right away, as soon as I hit the ground here, I was already, you know, I was into heavy metal right away, and
Oh, nice.
I went to go see the Ramones, and this band Warzone and GBH opened up for them. I'd never seen them, and prior to that, I was listening to mostly heavy metal and thrash and death metal, but when I saw GBH, the singer had like spiky hair and what they were doing on stage, I may have been 15, and I
Yeah,
think that was it. That was like the realization that this is what I like. And then I started, back then it was the 80s, so like I started hanging out in Tompkins Square, and then on St. Mark's Street. That's where all the
yeah.
punks hung out, buying records at Sounds, Bleecker Bob's, or another record store we used to go to. And then I kind of just immersed myself, and then every city I moved to after that, I connected with the local community in that world. I went to lots of shows. I still go to a lot of shows, not as
Yeah.
many, but I go to shows that are important. Um, but it's been a very big part of my life in shaping me as well.
What were you like into before you moved to Queens? Like what was kind of, so like how did you like you just heard heavy metal once and you're like, oh fuck, that's what I like, or you kind of heard it prior to that?
I mean, we like in India, like I grew up with cousins who listened to ABBA and
Nice.
Bee Gees. Like the late '70s was all disco, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so we grew up when, like, my family had a turntable, so we had ABBA records. Bonnie M was on the band, on their disco band from Africa. Bee Gees was Saturday Night Fever was huge.
yeah,
Um, Michael Jackson was coming out. I wasn't really into that much. I mean, I wasn't really into a lot of music back then. I was young, and I was in school. My family was about to move to America. My father had already moved with my sister, so I was like kind of shuffling between family members in two different cities. So it was, um, there wasn't much. There was Indian movies that I was into, that kind of music, but that doesn't resonate with me at all anymore.
yeah.
Um, but it didn't, like, I didn't get serious about music till I was in high school. Then that's when I really started to, like, I had friends who were listening to different stuff and rock and roll, and a lot of new wave. And there was a new wave club in Queens called The Edge. They would let anybody in. They didn't care how old you were. I was 14 when I was going there, and every Friday night was like new wave night, and all the punks hung out there. They played Ministry and Chains Addiction, Love and Rockets, Bauhaus, all that stuff. So I
That's
was
so
into all
cool.
that. I was into all that music too. I still am.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you're everybody's into lots of shit. Like, but I that's just so cool. And like that's like when I first found this type of music, I knew that it was for me. Like it was like, oh, this speaks to me. The like it was the same kind of thing that you're speaking about before. Like people at the shows, the like the community of the people, and like how everyone was like, really welcoming. Like like people had and still do have this idea of like what a punk is, or like what a like rocker person is, and it's like always this like a like aloof piece of shit. But that's not what it is. It's caring and compassion and like community, and like brotherhood, and like sisterhood, and then like all that shit. um and like I know for me, like I came up like really poor, and like I was homeless for a long time, and I was in foster care, and I felt like that those were my fucking people, man. They fucking got me, and they heard me, and they didn't give a shit where I was from, or like how much money I had or like any of that stuff. We were just there to have a good time and to like be with each other and to hear great music. So
I mean, even like in college and like, I was growing up and, bands would come through town, but they all came to my house. I would feed them back then, even
yeah,
after like, after like there was times when my bands were playing a gig and I would bring them food. I used to make home brew. I would bring them home brew.
that's
I,
awesome.
I, yeah, like I made my own home brew. I made like labels, Drunk Punks beer. And we always took care of bands. Whenever bands came through, we always made sure that there was food for them, place to stay, and that's like the community. And my friends still, I'm not able to do a lot of that, but like I am sometimes. I'll pick up bands at the airport, get them to where they're staying, get them back to the airport, help them facilitate with their tours. Some of my friends are very active in doing that even now, across the world, like not just here, like in Japan and in England and Europe. And my network of friends is huge and it
That's
goes
fucking
all the
rad.
way. Yeah, and we always like help bands come through. Like, even like I remember when cell phones first came out, my friend's band was touring America from England. I got them cell phone. I'm like, just in case your car breaks down, you have a cell phone,
Yeah,
and like my friend would rent a van and take them around. And so it's you're right. It's about the camaraderie, community, um, you know, taking care of bands because these bands are traveling on a budget. They don't have a big budget for food, and they don't get paid a lot of money. A lot of these bands just don't get paid a lot of money.
no, not
They're
at all.
traveling. Maybe they have $10 per person a day to survive. So it's always nice to come to a new town. But that was like the punk ethic to take care of bands. When they come to your town, you like make sure they have food, make sure they have booze, make sure they have a place to stay. Even when I
Right.
lived in Atlanta, that was a big part of my life was around this venue called C11, which was like this warehouse with a half pipe. With a half
Hmm.
pipe. So you could be skating and the bands are playing, bands would stay there. I would go get a keg or beers. We made sure the house got paid. We made sure the bands got paid, you know, um, and that
Yeah,
was a
I
lot of
mean
fun.
that's what I mean. Like when I was in high school, I was in a ska band. I was the lead singer, and like we became the like the like booker band for like other bands. So like we would create shows and then we'd make sure that like whatever bar we were paying where we were playing in or whatever like gave us our money so we could pay everybody. And it wasn't like a fuck ton of money obviously, but like it mattered, like it fucking matters when you need to get home or you need to get a hamburger so that you don't starve
I
or
mean,
whatever.
I was also touring with bands through, Texas and New Orleans and all these places. And I remember this one place in San Antonio paid us in two six packs. They gave us two tall boys of Bush, two
Holy shit.
16-ounce six packs of Bush. That's how we got paid. So yeah, I like that world. I'm glad I had those experiences, and I'm glad I still have those friends. Do you know a band called the Toasters?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I used to make my home brew and bring it to them, and they would come to Boston. I was like,
Oh
"Here's my
yeah.
home brew." Yeah, they loved it. They loved it. They
God,
loved
man,
it.
that's so cool. Yeah, I mean, like I we're you're a bit older than me, not like crazily much so, but a lot of the like of that part of the scene was not mostly gone when I got into it, but like a large part of it was gone, and it became a bit more corporate, um, and things of that nature. Like when like in the '90s when we got a lot of the grunge happening, like rock and stuff became much more lucrative, I suppose. So, like bands like Pearl Jam and Nirvana and those folks um were making a lot more money, and people weren't going to a lot of the underground shows much any not that they weren't, but it certainly wasn't like it used to be. Like I remember there was a show there were 3 or 4 shows every weekend at like random spots, random bars, random VFWs, like just everywhere. And that slowly has kind of faded away, and it's become really sad, actually. Like, it makes me sad.
I mean, I go to a lot of like shows here in Brooklyn. I mean, there's like definitely a scene still. Like even though
Good.
the kids are younger, they definitely look the part. It's a little bit more fashion, but they're good bands. I was out at Mercury Lounge just maybe 2 weeks ago. I saw a band called Skeptics and Massacred. Massacred was from Boston. Skeptics are from England. It was a really good show. So there is that stuff happening. Just it's just
Good.
way underground, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't been to a house show in a while, but I know those are not that popular in New York, but they may be in other cities, you know? They may be in other places. 'Cause New York's like there's lots of venues, there's lots of bars in Bushwick. There's tons of venues in New York. There's a place called TVI that does like lots of punk shows and
Mm.
dark wave gothic shows and stuff. So
Oh, that's
um
cool. I'll check that out. So here comes it looping back into food. How does your taste in music and this type of scene that you love so much influence your food?
a lot, you know, because food is gratifying, right? Like when you work in corporate, you're doing a project, you have to wait months till the project comes to fruition, you know. With food, like you see immediate results. And I really enjoy cooking. Even now, I like to work the line a couple of shifts a week. Um, it gives me the same joy as putting on a record. Like, you know, there's some certain records I'll put on and I'm just like, wow, that just hits like right there, you know?
Yeah.
Um, it gives me very similar joy of like a night of good service. Like the service was really good. Like I feel exhilarated after, you know, listening to a good record or having a great night of work. It's very similar. Um, and I kind of combine the two, you know, like I like to, when I'm home, I listen to records and cook, you know, so it's like,
Yeah.
it's a, you know, there's always records playing in my house, you know, I have my wife's collection of all stuff that she likes and my collection of all stuff that I like. We're always playing stuff. So.
That's cool. What are your kids into? Are they into what you're into, or are they into?
Not even remotely. My son's into rap and basketball and such things. My
Okay.
daughter's into Taylor Swift and fashion, and they're, you know, I have friends who kind of like push their kids in a direction.
Hmm.
I I I did in the beginning. I took my son to some shows in Tompkins Square Park, and I took him to go see
Okay.
Fear and Negative Approach, and it's just not his thing, you know. So, you know, I let them be, you know, let them do, you know, let them grow up at their own pace, you know.
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like if you didn't have like a need for that type of sound or that type of community, then it's not going to be what you're interested in. Like my kids are not gonna they're not growing up in the way that I did, right? So they're not gonna have the same likes and wants that I did, and that's great because that's what you want, right? You want to have your kids have a much better life than you ever had. um so I wonder if that's kind of part of it too. Like you need it a little bit more, and that's why you become a part of it.
I mean, definitely, like my kids will never have the trauma or the desperation that I had growing up. You know, like that feeling of desperation, that feeling of like not belonging, and like that's how it was, you know, like feeling alone, feeling, you know, and the only thing that comforted was the music.
Yeah.
You know, that was comforting. And then the trauma of like growing up in the 80s and growing up and it's a different world, you know, the like even the new cooks that come into the kitchen, they're never gonna feel the trauma that I felt when my first line cook job, how my chef tormented me. And I'll talk to other peers and I'm like, this kids, you know, that they don't have the trauma, you know, they
Right.
can't handle it. So yeah, you're right, it's environmental, like, you know, what they'll be into, like, you know, if Trump keeps it up,
Oh
then
yeah, they'll have trauma.
they'll have trauma and they'll have desperation and they'll all turn to political music, you know. So
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, I mean, like in ways, like we do need people to turn to it and and to have a real look at what's going on, right? Like there's a lot of like plague placation and a lot of pacifism going on at the moment, and it's like people need to care more about the things that need to be cared about, right? Like not about clothes or about conspiracy theories or shit like that, you know, like about things that actually affect people and rights and the country, I think. Yeah.
I mean, it's frankly like depressing that, you know, I was watching Jon Stewart last night and he was like, I didn't know he was going to become that autocratic that quick.
Right.
And he was joking, but like, you know, it's just unreal. Like every, like, he's breaking our fabric, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't read the news for a couple of months, but now I'm back in it. Now I'm definitely not on Twitter, but I do Blue Sky and I do Threads a little bit. Threads I don't enjoy as much as I enjoy Blue Sky,
Yeah.
but you know, like every single thing is vindictive and revenge, and every single thing is to hurt somebody, hurt the little guy. You know,
Right.
there's nothing he's doing to help anyone except maybe his friends and the billionaires, and it's just mean spirited. I don't even know like how to explain it. Like I'm a feeling person. I'm very emotional. I'm very feeling, you know, like it's just like I don't know what to do. Like, you know, are we going to protest every week after week after week? And are the Democrats going to come up with a leader who has a clear message, who can
Yeah.
be, you know, who can, like, I just don't know where this goes. Like, if he can't listen, if he won't listen to the Supreme Court, who's going to enforce this? Like, who enforces this?
Yes,
Like,
that is the big question.
what's now, when I John Roberts, what's he thinking? Like, is he just inconsequential? Like, what is, you know, judges have the same power a president does, more or less. They're
Yeah.
supposed to, you know, but like, who's gonna enforce it? Like, I don't know
Well,
what's
so
next.
the idea was that there didn't need to be an enforcement mechanism because people just went, they're judges. Will
Yeah,
they
they made
made
a
a choice.
ruling.
That's what we'll do. So now, I mean, but this is part of the game plan, like the like Project 2025 shit. Like part of it is do all of the shit that you want to do and ignore the courts. So, but when you ignore the courts, then we're no longer a democracy anymore. We're, you know, like there's supposed to be checks and balances, and when there isn't, then we don't have the thing that we supposedly have, which is scary. That's a scary prospect, and I'm sure it's scary as hell for you because you know you came here when you were 12 with like the
It's
like
so scary.
yeah, like it's the yeah, like
Like,
and
what's to stop him from revoking my citizenship and sending me back? Like, I don't know. Like, what if he finds like some old like tweet that, you know, I was very active on Twitter. You know, I was very active on Facebook. I'm not as active. But like, what's to stop them from doing that? Like, they arrested this student who had a green card. He has a green card, and he was going for a citizenship interview, and they arrested him.
yeah.
Like, that's almost like arresting a citizen. The guy had a permanent resident card. You know, it was not like he was on a H-1 visa or a student visa or whatever. You know, he actually had a green card. Like, now they're revoking his green card. Like, you know, it's just more. Every day is more.
Yeah,
You know.
every day is more. And like the that guy that they deported by accident who's just in that fucking horrible place that they won't go and get, and the El Salvadorian president won't let him leave the prison is fucking crazy too.
I
So
mean, that is just unreal. Like, he could have brought him on the plane with him.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
you could have been like, "Oh, sorry, here's your
here's
American
your
citizen
guy.
back." Yeah. Um, right, just because like so it's like the American dream doesn't really look like that so much anymore. And as a person, like you literally have done it. You have done that. You came here when you were 12 and now you are where you are now. You rose up from, you know, basically, nothing to be where you are today. It's a huge fucking deal. And it is one of the most American things that I can think of is what you have done, Chai.
Well,
And
it's, I credit that to my entrepreneurial spirit. Like when I was 13, I got a job in the bodega on Hillside Avenue loading beer for 250 an hour. Then I got a job at Aqueduct Flea Market on the weekends, helping one of my friend's fathers with his little stall of like little electronics. Getting $30 an hour, $30 a day was my shift pay. That's when I was 13.
yeah,
And ever since then, like I've always, in my family, we all worked because we're all immigrants. So my mom worked, my sister worked, I worked, my dad worked. We just had to. There's no way I could have been able to afford records or, you know, Doc Martens or tickets to shows at CBs or whatever
right.
without working. So like that ethic was like right away, like it's like ingrained in me. I've never not had a job, no matter what. Like I've never not had a job, and sometimes two or three. Even now I'm doing like I'm consulting at a Korean restaurant, and then I'm doing another project in the Hamptons. I'm always like, and there's
Always
always
doing
something
something.
coming. Always
Yeah.
doing something. I'm always thinking about like, okay, I like to keep very busy. But you're right. That's as American as it gets. It's my entrepreneurial spirit. And wanting to contribute.
And it's what we're built on, and it's what it's supposed to be. Like if my ancestors didn't come here during World War II, and then the other part of my ancestry didn't come over during the potato famine, like I wouldn't be here either. Like no one here is from here unless you're one of the natives. So it's fucking crazy to me that all this immigration shit pops up constantly and all the time, and especially now where it's like what makes our country good and what enriches us is immigration. It's why we are good. It's why we're exceptional, is because of everyone that comes here. um I mean, it's white supremacy, but it still makes me fucking crazy. Like it makes me insane that it's like what it like I understand what it is, but it still makes me fucking nuts, right? Like it makes me, yeah.
It's unless a couple of the senators and a couple of the House members from their side start speaking up or make a stand. I'm talking about a couple. I mean, actually, 4 or 5 on each
Yeah,
side. There's no way out of this unless their side starts speaking up. There
right.
just isn't. Because right now he has control of everything. Everything. The judiciary, the executive, the legislative, the House, Senate, everything. Um, he's appointed a Nazi as what is it? What's Hegseth? He's the defense minister.
Yeah.
What is? I mean, it's crazy. The guy's got
Yes.
like white power tattoos on his
Yeah.
chest, on his arms,
Yes.
and they're just pushing it. They're pushing it like everything that's norm. It's not. They have the WWF lady as the education secretary. They abolished the Department of Education. Like just every norm is going to be gone. And I don't know how they're going to build it back. What's and now the Republicans don't even need an extreme guy like Trump. They can put up any moderate in the
Anyone.
future,
Yeah.
anyone, any moderate, and they'll win for years to come.
They could put up
Years
a
to
fucking
come.
like a paper bag of like rat shit and it would win.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Like that's what it looks like. Like, okay, we're gonna put he was too extreme, so we'll find a moderate for the next like 5 elections. So I don't even know. Like Um, is there any candidate that on the on not candidate? Is there anybody on the Democratic side that you like?
I not right. I mean, like I like Cory Booker because of what he just did with the. I mean, it didn't actually do anything,
Speech.
but yeah, but it was really it was a really impressive filibuster, and I did like what he said in it, and I did like that he went through it. He wasn't blocking any legislation or like anything. He just kind of like did it to do it. It was still incredible. But I like him, but I like AOC a lot, and I
Me
always
too.
have.
Me
Um,
too.
and I really like, but this country has shown that they refuse to hire a qualified woman, an
Oh yes, I don't want a
overqualified woman.
woman.
They will not fucking do it. And I'd like them to. I've voted for every two of the two fucking women that we were able to vote for. I voted for them because women are fucking awesome and they are better than us at almost everything. So why the fuck shouldn't they be in charge of more shit, especially running the country? Like we're one of the last places on earth to do it, to elect a woman, like in like, you know, civilized first world blah blah blah, right? Like it's madness.
Yeah.
But I
No, I
do like
agree.
AOC.
Even third world countries have had women as their prime ministers and presidents. You
Yes.
know, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Myanmar. I mean, like there's so many, powerful women. I think a lot of the African states have had women prime ministers and presidents as well.
Like it's
But I
like
like,
people got so mad that we like that like Barack Obama got elected, that like we're never having anything like that ever again. Like it's only gonna be weird old white guys forever.
well,
And
the
that's
fiscal,
not what we need.
the fit, all the fiscal conservatives and those guys blame the wokeness. Because I'm one of my cousin, I speak with him, and he left the country. My cousin, he's like, he bought a house in Tuscany, and
Okay.
he was like, prior to the election, he was all like Trump, Trump, Trump. But then him and his wife like bought an bought a place in Florence, and he was just in town. And I was talking to him, and he's like, all this wokeness is what why all this is happening right now.
All
Um,
the wokeness is why this is happening right now.
yeah, the wokeness that Obama started, Biden carried on, Kamala Harris espoused. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, woke just means that you understand that there's something wrong that needs to be changed. Like it's been like co-opted into all these other meanings and all this other bullshit, like everything always is. But to like it's just it's turned into this fucked up messaging that people just they constantly broadcast into their eyeballs. uh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's very frustrating, Chai, as you know, as you
yeah.
live. So yeah.
It's
uh
it's depressing. Like daily, like I have a few different news. Like I read Al Jazeera, BBC, AP News, Economist. These are my usual apps that I go to. Blue Sky to like. And it's like every day something else drops. Every day, and it's not even been 100 days since he's been in office, and it's just
yeah.
like we have 4 years of this, and you know how much damage is he gonna do to this country, to our kids' futures? Um, the whole thing about going after schools and threatening schools, and I'm glad Harvard made a stand.
Yeah,
I'm
me
glad
too.
MIT made a stand. That's
Same.
great.
Yeah.
And I hope they're able to make a stand and really like say some stuff while they're at it. I wish Columbia would make a stand and all these schools kind of bind together. It's almost like we need to have New York align, like we need to align all the blue states together
Yeah.
and form our mini country, you know, like mini country. We're all over the place. We had to have the West Coast and the East Coast, you know. Um,
Yeah. I
and
don't
that's
want
what
to
it.
separate again.
No, I
Like
don't want to
I
separate either. It just feels like that's what it's going to come down to, where the states, you know, they keep talking about the states, you know, the states will dictate the curriculum and the states will do this. And, you know, um, but that's, I think he's just dividing. Everything he's doing is more divisive,
it is. It's
more and more.
because like my wife and I talk about this all the time, and like specifically about abortion, uh where it's legal and where it's not, is that she's like always says like, I shouldn't have to look at where I'm going to see whether or not I'm free. Like in my own country, I should just know that I have the same rights everywhere. Um, and that's true. Like that's the reason these things are like laws at the federal level, is so that there's a blanket equity and equality everywhere. When you do things state by state, you know, you just being, you know, transgender could mean that you're not a person anymore if you're in Alabama or somewhere else, um, just by being there. But it's still America. That's not like, that's not what it's supposed to be.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been over an hour, Chai. I don't know if you need to get back to work or not, but I mean, I'll talk more if you want to talk more, but if you need to go, I totally understand.
I can talk for a few more minutes. Sure.
All right. So why don't we talk about food again?
Sure.
Because all right.
So,
So
I mean, I'll tell you a little bit where I am right now. So
yeah,
maybe,
please.
you know, so I'm helping uh, a good friend of mine. His name is Sung Shim. He has 5 restaurants in New York. They're called Kochi, Mari, Don Don, and his newest place is called Gui. He's a Michelin star chef, and
Hmm.
I'm helping him at Gui with some of the recipe development, some of the admin stuff, structure. But he's a great chef, and he's going places, and um, and you know he's retained his Michelin for the last 3 years at the two other restaurants.
That's
So I
awesome.
think,
That's hard.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I am right now. It's in Hell's Kitchen. Once again, it's called Gui, Gui Gui. It's a steakhouse.
So so you're kind of like, and you're more of a nomad type of executive chef where you help out other
Yeah.
folks.
Well, right now,
Yeah.
because I was at a place called Nine Orchard, which is a
Hmm.
boutique hotel in Chinatown. I left there in January. Then we went on vacation for a month, and I came back. And since then, all these gigs keep popping up. A few weeks ago, I was in Boston for the Seafood Expo, helping a Chinese rainbow trout company prepare some dishes with the rainbow trout to showcase their product, which was
Oh, that's fun.
uh, yeah, it's a rainbow trout that they grow in the glaciers of Tibet.
Oh, wow.
Um, so it had a cool story, and they needed a chef to come. And the expo wasn't for consumers; it was more for other buyers from other countries. To give you an idea, they're buying 50, 60 tons a year, and
Oh,
that's
wow.
kind of deals they were making. So I was just preparing the small dishes with their rainbow trout. So that was kind of like a nice 3 day, 4 day gig. Um, Next, I'm going to starting tomorrow. I'll be in the Hamptons for the next 6 months.
Okay.
Hamptons and West Palm Beach. I'm working with a company called Hamptons Aristocrat. They do private chef and like events type of stuff for very high end clients. Um, so I'll be working with them in executive chef capacity, helping them with all their events between Palm Beach, Miami, and New York City, and in the Hamptons.
So what is that? So like, you are also responsible for like making sure that there's like food sales and like things of that nature. Can you talk about like that added pressure to like to what you do, like because you're not like just making food, you're like also trying to, you know, make a lot of money for wherever you're working.
Yeah, I mean, it's like chefs today. It's not about how creative you are. Like I can be creative all day. You could, if you wanted me to cook, that'd be great job. You know, I
Yeah,
can just cook all day and not have to worry about anything else. But I am more trained to look at P&Ls, look at projection, look at profitability. I look at food cost. Every week for Chef Sung, I prepare a report the previous week of whatever labor was, what the cost percentage was, where we're at. It's a new restaurant, so right now the costs are going to be a little high, but we're still
right.
watching and controlling. So I'm really good at deciphering those numbers and being able to speak about them openly. And I can get to the bottom of those things. I can look at invoices. I can tell you if something's off. I do a bidding process with different vendors for different items to see who's giving a better price, what's a better product. So I do all that stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot more than people think. Like like people watch The Bear and they think that they have like an idea of like what it actually means. But it is every time that you go somewhere, you're basically starting a brand new business. And it right like it and you're responsible for making sure that it works.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, there has to be longevity. The restaurants open and close every day. So
Yeah.
in New York City, especially, so if you have the concept that's not correct, if the location is not correct, sometimes you have the wrong location, wrong concept, or the concept is not clear enough and people do not understand what you are or what you're trying to do. All those things, go into the factor into your success. Also, costs are very important in the beginning, especially you want to watch your costs because you're working with somebody else's money, somebody else's
Yeah.
investment, and you're not going to be busy right off the bat when you open. So it's going to take a little while for your name to get out there. Get a couple of reviewers in. Once you get a review or two, then people start coming in. So there's a lot that goes into the business side of it, and I enjoyed that part as much as I enjoyed the cooking and executing part.
I feel like you have to be because otherwise you'll just be in constant crappy turmoil all the time. Like it's the same thing with what I do. Like you have to fall in love with the business side of it as much as the art part of it. Just because if you can't, then you're just be in hell. Like you'll be in fucking hell all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's not sexy. Like that is not the like fun shit that like everybody likes to like see is like you're really good at spreadsheets, right? Like so yeah, but you
I am really good at spreadsheets.
yeah, like no one gives a shit like but it's wild because you spend a lot more of your time doing that shit than what you're actually
It's
love to do.
tedious.
Yeah.
It's really tedious, but it has to be done. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Is setting up all the templates. I'm doing the recipe cards. I use Chat GPT for everything. Like if I
Oh,
want to write
great.
a formula, yeah, it's amazing. I'll
Hmm.
tell Chat GPT to write me a formula to find the variance and daily sales. And if I want a 28% food cost, how much sales do I need to have? And
Oh,
look at the
cool.
purchases, like look at the purchases up to date and look at the sales up to date. And it'll tell me you need to have $20,000 more sales to hit a 28% food cost. So I'm building all these tools for the
So
chefs
you're
here.
actually using it the way that it's supposed to be used as a tool, which is fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
Like
else can
you're
people
like
use it?
not you using it to like make a picture of your dog that looks like it's in a Quentin Tarantino movie. Like you're literally using it as it's meant to be used, which is wonderful.
I also use it to when I'm writing emails or proposals or anything like that. I'll give ChatGPT the parameters and then it'll write me and correct my. But its grammar and my grammar is different. Like the proper grammar and ChatGPT grammar, there is a little difference between the two. But
Mm.
it's really good for Excel and coding. I haven't tried to make any images or anything like that. But
Don't. They're horrifying.
yeah.
All right, man. It has been wonderful speaking to you. It has been well over an hour now. I really appreciate you coming on, man. And we talked about a lot of stuff. Oh, before you go, what is a couple of things or one thing that you'd love Americans to know about India?
Well, everyone speaks English. Almost 95% of the people in India speak English. It's better to stay away from the cities. Like I would not go to Delhi. I would just go to smaller towns. I think
Okay.
people enjoy that a lot more, and it's always good to have your own driver. Life changer. Get your own driver. They're very affordable, and they'll take you. I'm giving you tourist advice because that's what I'm good at.
Yeah.
But uh, and the vegetarian food in India is really good, like really good. I mean, India's just a marvel. I've only been to a few places in India. I'm not really traveled far and wide, but I plan to go more often.
Yeah.
You know, but I plan to go more south and more stuff that's my speed. I think you can really relax in the south. You can like we went to Goa, which was really nice. We rented a house and we had a motorcycle and we went to see the sunset. We chilled. We went shopping. We walked around. We went to different restaurants and same people we see every day. It was nice to, feel be part of a community for a couple of days, instead of staying in a ritzy hotel or something like that.
What do you feel, so like whenever like a new immigrant wave happens, there's a part of the culture that becomes part of the of American culture. Like when the Germans came, we got hamburgers, hot dogs, right? So is there anything that you've seen that has become like truly Indian American like mashup that is part of our culture now?
Not really. It's going to become Indian food's coming up.
Yeah.
It's really coming up, like especially in the cities like Chicago, LA, New York. Indian food is definitely coming up, and I think in the next 10 years you'll see more mainstream. I mean, there's Indian people in the government now,
Yeah.
Cash
Yeah.
Patel,
Yeah.
Cash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard. But
Yeah.
I think you'll see more Indian food mainstream soon. I think it's slowly making a mark. New
Have
York.
have you been to eat in Orlando? It's Manit Chauhan's place.
She's a friend of mine. She's a very dear friend. I didn't even know she had a place in Orlando. I know she has a place in Nashville.
Yeah, it's part of Disney Springs. Like it's like a fast casual
Oh,
Indian restaurant. It's fucking great. Like it's really good. Um it's probably like a little bit too spicy for the white folks, but it is very, very, very good.
I mean, she's great.
Yeah.
She was actually my judge on Chopped. That's how we
Oh,
became
cool.
friends. Yeah,
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 that's
she was my
awesome.
judge.
Yeah,
No,
she's
but I've never been to Orlando, but I think the kids will want to go soon.
you got to take him to Disney World, man. You gotta go down there. But there's really great food there too. Like Morimoto's got a place there, which is fucking fire. Um, and Art, um, the last name is flying out of my head. Art, he's a Southern chef, fried chicken, older fella, beard. God damn it, Art chef. Come on, Google chicken or chat. Do you know uh Chef Art Smith? Yes, Art Smith's got a spot there too. Yeah.
I don't think I know him, but
Oh, you don't know
I
Art
definitely know.
Smith? Okay.
I know Morimoto
Yeah.
well.
Um, but yeah. All right. Well, Jai, thank you so much for being here, and I will speak to you soon. Okay.
Okay, cheers, man. Take care.
Later. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here this evening. I really appreciate you hanging out with me. If you are Watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you are hearing this on the podcast, thanks so much. Please share with your friends. And if you're watching the replay, I really appreciate watching the replay. It really helps me out a lot. Have a beautiful rest of your evening, and I will talk to you very soon. Next week, in fact. Have a wonderful week.